watch the Twitter stream and see what it's like to watch 33,000 people. And so I'm just going to be silent and let you watch that in live stream. And let me blog this first of all. In fact, let me just blog that.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, how you doing? Let me just get something out here just a second.
Okay.
I just want to... All right, so we're live broadcasting. We're going to live broadcast the 33,000 people I have on Twitter. I'll do that here. And I want to put the Apple versus Samsung thing up here. And let me put my headphones on so I can hear you guys. Hold on a second. I also have The Verge and I have CNET up and running. So this is 33,000 geeks. Let me see if I can get a little bit steadier here.
It's more exciting than OJ.
Yeah, isn't it? It's like, who's guilty? Who's not?
Does the glove fit?
And I'll try to read some of these things to you. Let me see if I can move this thing over here. That way I can keep it closer.
So it just literally walked in the door. The verdict's out. The trial's almost over, or what's going on?
Yeah. We're waiting for the verdict. It's imminent. CNET and The Verge are live blogging, so we're all just waiting for the verdict to come in. This is one of those examples where having 33,000 people inbound on Twitter is a lot of fun.
Oh, I know.
Because I could see, what everybody's reaction is. Now, once the reaction comes in, I bet this thing moves so fast that you just can't keep up on it. So The Verge is reporting that we're waiting on Judge Coe, dead silent in the courtroom, save for the sound of frantic typing on dozens of keyboards. Here's CNET says the courtroom is filled up. There's a single row of seats left, and it's for Apple's lawyers. Lawyers aren't talking to each other. One of their readers says, I think the quick verdict favors Apple, but God knows, of course it'll get appealed, But that's just...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no matter who wins, it's going to be appealed, so...
Yeah.
Man,
It's going to be fun. Let me just click on me here so it stays on that screen. You can just watch Twitter. It's just pretty crazy. I wish I could share this with everybody because this is, not very, very few people in the world have 33,000 hand-picked geeks all in a Twitter feed.
So the verdict was reached at 2:35 p.m.
Yeah. This is the strangest energy they've felt in the courtroom this far, the Vert says. This reader says he guesses that Samsung will have to pay less than the $2.5 billion asked by Apple. It's going to be really interesting. And then it's going to be interesting because didn't Google just sue Apple for breaking some of its patents?
Motorola Mobility, yeah, for 7 different patents, I believe.
Yep, around 7 different.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty crazy.
Hey, Robert, real quick, on an unrelated note, are you going to be at VMworld here in a couple days?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah.
I'm headed out there Sunday. I was curious, since you're big into virtualization, if you were going to be there. That's all.
I should show up there for the keynote or something, but I usually don't get too much out of those things because there's so many press who covers those things.
Yeah.
But I should show up.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, what's up? We're all waiting for the big.
Yeah, me too. I just posted about it, and I already posted my opinion on the verdict. So I'm very quick.
Yeah. Now people are tweeting things like Heiko just said, I'm one of the 33,000.
You know, Robert, I wonder if you agree with me about my opinion on the verdict, because what I said was it's very reminiscent of the OJ trial for me, because here we have a very complicated issue. It's resolved in record time.
Yeah.
They had 700 decisions to make to reach this verdict. They didn't ask one single question.
Yeah.
No clarifications on the jury instructions, which were fairly complicated, and they didn't ask for any testimony to be reread.
Yeah. So do you think, based on that, do you think that they were found innocent?
Actually, I think based on that, that the decision is a very gut reaction. So either they're clearly convinced that, hey, it's a clear copy case, and they just went all out. It's going to be all in favor of Apple or all against Apple if they just buy the argument that, hey, this is all about competition and you have to compete in the marketplace. So I think it just depends on which model they believe. I don't think it's a very nuanced decision.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I certainly think.
I was just going to say, I just posted about.
What I think will be interesting is after the decision is when we actually get to talk to the jury and get a sense of who these people were, and you start asking questions like, get an understanding for what kind of logic they apply to whatever decision is made.
Yeah. So Samsung has requested 30 minutes to go through the jury's results before the jury is dismissed for the purpose of seeking clarification of potential inconsistent verdict. Somebody said, why are we comparing this to O.J. Simpson? I think it's not a murder case, so don't go nuts on that. But this is a similar technical argument that a jury has to reach. And what's really interesting is that I remember that, and I remember watching the Associated Press Wire Machine that day, and that's what really got me into social networking, because I wanted an Associated Press Wire Machine. There was more than 600 stories filed from O.J. Simpson's courtroom in the first hour. And in the newspaper, you only got to read three or four of them. And I found that very fascinating, that I could, that I wanted to see all of the stories so I could come to my own conclusions and see all the biases that the press had on both sides. And I think this is a great example of that, because everybody in the press is biased one way or the other, whether it's a little bit toward Apple or a little bit toward Google. Or toward Samsung in this case. And I think it's fascinating to be able to watch this many people react to something like this.
It's huge. It's affecting the entire world, or it's going to infect the entire world.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to say, Robert, I'm the one that's guilty of making the O.J. Simpson jury trial comparison. But I wasn't making the comparison in the terms of saying that, it's like a murder. What I said was the similarity is the fact that they reached a complicated decision very quickly, and it raises the whole question of what type of justice is really being served here. And I think it raises a legitimate question if they really did their due diligence and did consideration in this case, because I don't think it's possible to do it in such a quick time.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say...
I think... Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to add one other point. Was I just also posted about the case in South Korea, and I don't know if you saw this, because Apple and Samsung have a similar suit in South Korea. And in that case, they both lost because they were both found guilty of patent infringement of copying each other, which I think there may be some truth to that.
By the way, did you notice that Twitter just stopped on my screen? That rarely happens.
Yeah.
I'll play along with the OJ analogy as well, and just say that I think just regular reaction could be said that it'll be similar in the sense that when the OJ verdict came down, you had basically African Americans were excited and jumping up and down like they won the OJ lottery or something, and then you had whites who were in disbelief over the verdict. And I think considering these platform holy wars that you have between Apple and Android, fanboys and fan people, it could be a very similar sort of polarizing reaction when we hear what it is.
If Apple loses, I think this was a misstep on the behalf of Apple.
Absolutely.
Because it really opened themselves up for looking into where all their technology came from, and it got Google riled up enough to sue them. So it really does open up Apple for a whole lot of risk if they lose.
Not only that, they had to release so much information. There's a lot of financial disclosure that was made that we were able to find out all kinds of interesting things about Apple.
Yeah.
That had been heretofore unknown. The other thing the issue raises, and a lot of people raise this going into this trial, is this is the most complicated trial ever to be presented to a jury, and it seems really like these types of questions really would have been better handled by a judge than by a jury.
Yeah, I don't like the patent system, but I don't know. I'm not into the legal world enough to know whether a jury is smart enough to deal with these kinds of issues. Personally, either as a judge, most politicians and most judges just don't have enough technical detail to decide a lot of these things either.
No, I agree that they don't have the technical expertise, but I think that they would take the time to try to figure it out. And what I'm worried about is in a jury system, I don't know that they would do that. And I think the proof is the fact that they were able to reach a verdict this quickly. I mean, it's amazing to me.
How quick was the verdict?
I think we're getting close.
It'll be interesting once we get an idea of who the jurors were, and I mean, I think they're definitely, it'll be definitely interesting to see the makeup of the jury, because if you think about just a typical jury for a trial, I mean, generally they skew older, a lot of retired people, that sort of thing. So it'll, like I said, it'll be interesting to, once we get a makeup of the jury and what their basis was, because again, it's 700 plus different points that had to be decided on, and the fact that it was decided so quickly, you could draw a couple of conclusions. You could say, one, well, it was just basically very reactionary and not really, perhaps giving it due.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know why everybody got muted all of a sudden.
Oh, okay. I thought that was just me.
Yeah.
I lost the audio. I go, what
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It says it was from Cedric.
Huh. All right.
Okay,
Well, I'll watch.
okay, sorry, my bad. I was trying to isolate one source that was sort of playing with the mouse or something, and I thought that was only for me. Ooh, I didn't know Hangouts could do that. I'm sorry.
No, no problem.
I had no idea I was doing this for everyone. And actually, once you do this, I'm not sure how you can unmute someone.
I unmuted myself. I don't know.
Oh,
about anybody
okay.
else.
So,
I did as well.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think the
so-
person has to unmute themselves.
okay. Sorry, I'll stay mortified and silent for a bit.
Hey, Cedric, are you in Paris right now?
Yes.
Ah, so you're like me. It's midnight.
Yeah. Well.
This is exciting.
Yeah, it's.
Well,
I wonder how long it's going to take.
It's exciting in as much as, well, there's going to be an appeal, whichever way it goes. So.
Sure.
That is true, but there's a lot of PR behind victory here. You know, it's. I don't think it's all about money. It's the ability to say, "Hey, you copied me," or "No, I didn't copy you," and it doesn't matter anyways. You know.
Yeah, but potentially, there's a lot of money at stake here because there's the $2.5 million verdict, but it can be trebled by the judge if the judge determines that that this was malicious.
That's true. There is, when you're talking about billions, it's still a lot of money, but Samsung certainly has been very successful in the marketplace. So this strategy might have been worth the $2.5 billion, or 2.5 times 3 is what, $7 billion. Plus, like you said, it'll be appealed and stuff like that. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is when you look at the profits, because the profits on the smartphones is totally dominated by Apple and Samsung, because the two of them together make up 95% of the total worldwide profits on smartphones, and Apple is something like 70% or so.
Yeah.
So
the jury
Yeah.
deliberated for 21 hours. They said so. They did spend some time thinking about it, at least.
Yeah, except
that's
I
true.
don't know where I read that they had to answer like 700 questions.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I mean, maybe some of them could be answered like wholesale in blocks of 50, but
Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's still pretty fast. 21 hours. I mean, they did take an extra hour yesterday, so at least they show it's better than the OJ. It's not as extreme as the OJ trial, but still, it's still. I think it's very quick for a complicated subject.
who's live blogging this apart from The Verge?
CNET and The Verge I have up on the screen right now.
I would
I
assume
die
all
for your
things- I would
display
assume all things D is as well, probably.
What's that?
I said I would assume all things D is probably live blogging it as well.
Cool.
Hey, Robert, how are you, mate?
Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, mate.
Where are you guys all located, by the way?
I'm in Australia.
Paris.
Paris, Australia?
Southwest England here.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Hey,
I'm in
Robert,
Paris.
are you coming to Australia for the launch for your company for the Rackspace?
I don't know yet. I don't think so, but I sure would like a reason to go down there.
Oh, yeah, we'll take you did a post on it. Apparently, there's one opening here in Sydney. We're getting one made.
That'd be fun.
Mm.
Well, we're just waiting for this judgment to be filed in. It's interesting, I love this, just being able to watch and listen to you guys all over the world and watch how people are going to react to it. The problem is when this gets announced, it'll start out where we can maybe read a few results, but very, very quickly 33,000 people all posting at one time is going to go crazy on the screen.
You know what? It's going to be great. Is going to be seeing whichever way the decision goes to see all the Apple haters and the fanboys all go on their campaign.
It's going to be a very polarizing decision. It's going to be very polarizing.
Yeah, I think so too.
But the fact that we're all interested in it tells me something. Yeah, it's the BBC World just went by. So the press is starting to cover that. CNBC is still not putting it on TV. I wonder if they're gonna get it on TV. But
well, I'll tell you, Apple really has started to change the world. I mean, I'm gonna write a post in a couple hours. Belgium had just mentioned that they're gonna switch their textbooks now from textbooks to iPads, and you speak.
Hold on, my boss is calling me. So. Hey Tiffany, I'm doing a live video blog. What's up? I don't know. I have to wait until this verdict comes down, and then I'll be able to look for it. I don't. We're live video blogging it right now, so if you want to watch it, I gotta run. I gotta run. So I'm live broadcasting the world right now, so I gotta go. Bye.
Well, that was cool.
Yeah, actually, that's not my ringtone for just my boss. That's my ringtone.
Hey,
Wow.
ringtone called, mate? What's the ringtone called?
It's a Skrillex song. I forget what song it is.
No.
So what will happen when this verdict is actually announced? What are the immediate repercussions going to be? Is it just fines or bans or what?
That's an interesting question. If Apple is victorious, and hold on a second, Ericos asked me to watch what Guardian Tech is posting. Yeah. If Apple's victorious in this, I wonder what would be the immediate reaction from the judge. Would the judge ask them to take all the product off the shelf and stop selling it? I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The judge is already a little pissed off at Samsung because initially they deliberately went against the judge's order, but the disclosure, and the judge was really pissed off about that.
Yeah, the judge is looking over the verdict form, it sounds like, right now, before it gets announced. So it's coming soon.
Robert, you have a feeling which way it's going to go?
I don't. I in the past when I've had feelings like this, they've turned out to be inaccurate. I remember when Apple had the copyright lawsuit back in the late '80s against Microsoft, and the Apple employees were very confident that they were going to win, and they actually ended up losing. And so it's really hard to read these things. And if you look at the innovation that was in the iPad or iPhone, I mean, it's hard for me to read that that's totally clear patentable stuff. In fact, a next door neighbor is on some of those patents, and it's pretty tough. So, anyways, the jury's coming in, poker face to a person. Here we go, folks. CNET says.
It's gonna be good.
I would put a little bit on Apple's side. I mean, if I'm going to take a stance, I would say Apple's probably going to come out better on this side. But it's hard to really say that clearly. I'm not confident at all that that's going to be the case.
Right. Okay.
Charlie Kindle, who worked at Microsoft, said if he was a betting man, he would go with Apple, but he's not, so he won't.
Hey, Robert, can I ask you a question? This is going to be a dumb question, but I haven't really been following it. What's this over?
Well, this is over some of the technologies in the iPhone. So, like when you let me pull my iPhone out so I can. Like, I believe some of them were where the slide unlock was one patent.
Oh wow!
Other patent was the bounce feature. Where you're scrolling and it has that rubber band effect. And there were a few other patents like that they were fighting over.
Wow, that's crazy.
And also the look and feel. I mean, clearly Apple's evidence had, Samsung phones before iPhone came out, and then Samsung phones, how they looked right afterwards. So the live people say, Foreman says, yes, they have reached a verdict. So it's not a hung jury. It's not a hung jury. Has the jury reached a verdict? Yes.
Here we go. I have a bottle of champagne waiting.
Does Samsung have a countersuit in this at all?
There's going to be appeals. There's going to be appeals either way for a long time, or there's going to be a settlement done pretty quickly, because that's my guess. But I would guess it's going to be appealed no matter which way it goes.
Yeah, in the South Korea case, they both ended up paying damages, but Apple's damage is slightly higher than.
But both of the damages in the Korean case were very, very small. I mean, I could have paid for those on my credit cards.
Yeah, exactly. They were very small.
Just a few $100 million.
So now the judge is going through the actual verdict form to just determine if it's been signed properly. Love this tweet from Danny Sullivan. After the verdict gets read, I really want someone, judge or jury, to say one last thing. The foreman is a male, older, ID'd simply as juror number 1.
Any idea how old the jury is?
I'm sure it's totally unrelated, but the Apple Store is down.
All right, the verdict is being read now.
Oh. Okay, Robert, have you seen the new Samsung Apple stores?
Yeah, they're pretty. They're just like the Microsoft Apple stores, right?
But I mean, it really looks like the Apple Store. I mean, it's amazing.
Here we go. Reading the verdict is a tweet that came through. Apple versus Samsung. This is history, they say.
Yeah, this will definitely.
Miss Parker Brown is reading the verdict. Apple's claims. It is sort of exciting watching the screen, waiting for these words to come across.
Yeah.
It shows the power of a few pixels on human emotion.
The answer is yes.
Did Samsung
infringed on Claim 19 of 301 patent for all devices? The answer is yes. Wow. It looks like it's going to be an Apple victory.
Answer for all devices is yes. First claim, Ina Fried says Samsung guilty. Samsung loses to Apple. Howard Linson says Apple wins.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's an Apple victory.
First claim, Samsung guilty on all products.
So, Robert, your
oh shit is what
correct.
Holy shit! So here's the idiot jurors. You can see the Samsung wins. Apple has to file for bankruptcy. Yeah, right. The jury ruled in favor of Apple. Jury, Samsung infringed Apple software patents. So, and they're going through the list of all the devices now.
So, Robert, your gut instinct was right.
CNBC breaking on bounce back patent. Samsung infringed on all counts.
Oh, it's the bounce back patent. Oh boy.
Question 2, claim 8 of 915 patent. And it's coming back.
I think it's going to go all for Apple.
I just love that all these patents are just so
Hold on,
trivial.
I'm live broadcasting, Goofy.
Well,
Claim
I mean,
19 is the Apple rubber band patent. Claim 19 of the 301 is the Apple rubber band patent. So we're in question 2 right now.
You to answer,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes. Yes, Samsung infringed on all cases.
All cases.
No on
They
Ace
gotta
Intercept
know-
replenish. For yes on Galaxy Tab 10.1. So this is
Wow.
pretty clear that Apple is winning
Apple's gonna
this
win big
pretty
time.
roundly.
What's interesting is, Chris asked in the chat if Apple wins, what this could mean for the Android platform. And my only initial comment is, as I was saying earlier, Samsung is really the only profitable smartphone maker out there besides Apple. And so potentially it could be very damaging.
The thing is, though, Google has a another set of lawsuits on different technologies against Apple, and so this will go back and forth for years, I think.
Yeah, I think
But
you're
this-
right. But do you think Google is going to give money to Samsung to make up for this?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure there'll be lots of back and forth. The thing that this hurts, though, is PR-wise. I mean, you can see the kind of reaction that people are having. That
Yeah.
Bahaha, F you, Samsung. The Apple fans are all
Right.
reacting. Holy crap, Samsung is getting seriously smacked down right now. Yes to infringement on Apple patent from Guardian Tech. Yeah. And then there's, some Android snark. I'll try to look for some of the Android snark. On the claim 3, yes, Samsung infringed on almost all the counts again. So Apple is winning this lawsuit big time.
Big time, yeah. Now the real question is going to be how much damages end up getting awarded, and if the judge is going to go for the triple damages or not.
I would say it is, because the evidence that was there showed that Samsung was very threatened by the iPhone, and said that it had internal emails back and forth that the only way to get back in the market is to compete with Apple.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you. I think there is evidence. I mean, you can say one way or other about the copying and the patent infringement, but it does look like there is evidence that it was deliberate, whatever it was. And the other thing, I think, like I said earlier, is I think Samsung really did damage to their case by trying to win the PR war.
Yeah.
And by violating the judge's order, because all that does is, I mean, you go directly against the judge's order deliberately like they did, it really just pisses off the judge, obviously.
On the third question, which was claim 50 of the 163 patent, it infringed on like the Galaxy Tab 10.1 and on a variety of devices, but not for the Captivate, Indulge, Intercept. So there's some
for the Nexus.
There's some wishy-washy return here where it's not very clear, but overall Apple is winning this big time. Inducement for these 3 patents: 381, 915, 163, 381. Yes for all devices. So again, Apple is winning this on a really handily. It looks like to me.
Well, there's like 33 questions that the jury has to answer in all. And
yeah, but with the way these things start,
look for question 23, which is damages.
Yeah.
and between now and then, there'll be all kinds of questions to answer as for the trade dress patents, which is, can you make a device that sort of looks like a rectangle and has a flat screen?
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, the whole look and feel will be really.
Elon, get out of there. Yeah.
And we have a precedent going back for the old timers. Probably Robert might remember this with the Lotus 123, because they had that whole look and feel lawsuit argument as well.
Yeah. By the way, the next one said yes for almost all devices that Samsung infringed. So again, this Apple route continues. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Let me just put this down here so I can type a little bit. Yet another one came in on 163, yes for Droid Charge, Epic 4G, and a whole list of devices. So continues. It looks like Apple is getting winning on almost every count. And now I think the question will be damages. When we get to the damages area, it doesn't look like the jury is splitting. Oh, Apple did some and Samsung did some. No, it's going firmly Apple's way.
Yeah, they seem to generally been protecting to some extent the Nexus S 4G and a couple of other devices, but for the most part, it looks bad, especially for the Galaxy Tab and most of the Samsung devices.
It's interesting watching Twitter that the Twitter stream has not sped up all that much, but it is Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be faster. Do you think maybe they're waiting for the end?
Yeah, I don't know. This isn't the kind of thing that we'll get a lot of tweets all at one time, but it's getting a good continuous stream. I mean, there's some PD particle just said "F you, Samsung." Frostola just said not looking good for Samsung.
I imagine that the delay has a lot to do with just the timing. 4 o'clock on a Friday, West Coast.
Yeah, it usually is pretty slow on a Friday afternoon on Twitter.
We did that.
And CNBC still isn't really showing anything up on their live video.
That's what I mean. I think the Twitter delay might be related to the fact that the media is not really fully reporting this yet.
Yeah, the D087 patent came in again against Samsung for a variety of devices. This one looks like it might be a little bit more even on Samsung and not on others, but for STA, yes on S4G and Vibrant only. So question 7's coming up. Yeah.
Oh, we're on question 7 already?
The D305 patent, they just said.
Oh, right.
And I guess over on CNET, the verdict said, for each of the following products has Apple proven by a preponderance of the evidence that Samsung Electronics or SCA or Samsung Telecommunications America has infringed on the D087 patent. By the way, somebody is echoing back right now that you started. Can you all mute your mics? Thanks. If you can mute your mics unless you're talking, that'd be awesome. The next one says yes for the D305 patent, Samsung infringed. It continues. I would expect this is going to be very consistent for the rest of the verdicts. And then here's an Android fan. Coffee Geek says, shit, 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 shit. Looks like Apple is winning this trial. Shit. Goodbye, innovation. Hello, do as I say, not as I do.
Well, I think the thing is, to be fair, is that these same set of rules are going to also apply to Apple, and Apple will be subject to other lawsuits about infringement. So,
yep.
I think what really is in play isn't so much about Apple and Samsung, although that's going to obviously be big. Is, are we going to continue to accept this model of where we are with the patents and copyrights? And I think particularly on the software side, the whole idea of patenting or copyrighting software can get kind of crazy.
I gotta run, so I'm gonna just leave this up, and I'll be back in a few minutes. I gotta go take care of my kids who are running around. See ya. I'll be back.
Okay. All right. Well, anyone else have any thoughts? Question 9.
Anyone have a good source of where the questions are listed besides just the live stream coming back right now?
Yeah, I'll try to find a link and put that up. Question 9 was Samsung willful in its infringement? Now this is an important one because this was where the damages will come into place. So we're going to find out if it was an infringement intentionally or not. And it is yes for certain devices. So they say yes for the S2 T-Mobile, the Epic 4G touchpad, the Skyrocket, the Showcase, the Mesmerize, the Vibrant. I don't see the Galaxy Tab. Let's see. Yes for the S4G, the Vibrant. No for S2 ATT, Epic 4G Touch, S2 Skyrocket, and Infuse 4G. Interestingly enough, Apple did lose apparently on the question 8 for the D889 patent completely. Well, the damages are I would suspect they're going to be mitigated to some extent because of this no verdict on the Galaxy Tab models. Oh, apparently they made a mistake. So the last one was not willfulness, but was whether Samsung should have known. So question 10 is going to be willfulness. So everything that was just said was not about whether it was willful, but was whether or not Samsung should have known. Obviously, it's related to willful, but slightly different.
So it looks like the pro Apple stuff is going. Question 9 was Samsung willful in its infringement, and
yeah,
it looks
actually,
like yes.
No, actually, Robert, that's a mistake. That's a mistake there. Question 9 was actually about whether Samsung should have known.
Got it.
I posted a link.
And the next question is about willfulness.
I posted a link in the chat with the kind of documents listing off each of the questions.
Yeah. So Robert, while you were gone, I just read the feed. So
cool. I saw it on Twitter that CNBC just said in 5 of 7 cases it is found that Samsung's infringement was willful.
Wow. Well, I'm wondering if they're referring to that same question.
Treble damages, holy moly.
Oh no.
Yeah. Jury has declared That Samsung has infringed on some. Yeah, we already knew that. Someone just said treble damages. Looks like Samsung is found with a lot of infringement.
Well, actually, the treble damages just has to be speculation, because that is only up to the judge, and the judge won't make that determination until after the verdict is read completely.
Invalid. I can't even say it. Invalidity is not proven invalid across the board. Not a single one proven invalid by Samsung.
Wow.
On question 381. On to trade dress. Samsung has not proven that 893 trade dress is not protectable.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
That's the big one, because that's look and feel.
Yeah, exactly. That's not good. This is not a good day for Samsung.
Yeah. Apple has proven only the iPhone 3G trade dress is protectable. Ooh. So there's a little bit of mixed. All Apple patents in this case are valid. Samsung is not. Okay, yeah. None of the patents have been found invalid. It's really interesting watching the tweets come in. Yeah, most people are having the same kind of reaction we are. It's not a good day for Samsung. Dilution. Apple provide registered iPhone and unregistered iPhone 3G diluted. I don't know what that means. So. $15 SEC. Is that the big one? For some reason. Anyways, I gotta go and watch the kids again. They're playing in the water, so I'll be right back. Just keep with that.
Okay. All right. So let's see where we are now. Still on the dilution issue, apparently. SEC says yes on the Fascinate, Galaxy S4G, Showcase, Mesmerize, and Vibrant. No for Captive, Droid Charge, Epic 4G, and the Skyrockets. So one thing I do like about this jury case is that they actually apparently did take the time to look at the different devices and didn't just come up with like a global verdict. So you see in each one of these questions, they've actually done a pretty good job of saying, we find infringement on these set of devices, but not on this other set. And that is pretty consistent. So they weren't quite as superficial as I thought. We're now up to question 16 already. So going through this pretty quickly, I guess. If you found the unregistered iPhone 3G trade dress protectable, which they did, and famous for each of the following products, has Apple proven by preponderance of the evidence that Samsung and/or Samsung Electronics and/or Samsung Telecommunications America has diluted the unregistered iPhone 3G trade dress? And they said yes to Fascinate, the Galaxy S i9000, the S4G, the Showcase, Mesmerize, and Vibrant. So that's very damaging for Samsung as well.
I'm back for a second.
Okay,
looks like it's continued.
Yeah, it's continued, and on the dilution issue, they determined that that the iPhone 3G trade dress was protectable, and that that dilution did in fact occur, at least on certain devices. Another point to bring out here is that there's actually two different defendants in this case, because there's the Samsung Electronics and there's also Samsung Telecommunications. For most of these questions, the jury has to determine not only if there was an infringement or in violation, but was it a violation by SEC or was it a violation by SDA? So
I
you
think
see
there's
in
also
some cases,
three.
yeah.
There's three of them, not just two.
Okay.
Samsung
And-
Electronics Corp. And then American.
Okay, and you see in many of these decisions, I mean, they're breaking it down not only in terms of the models, but also in terms of for each of those defendants. So we're up to question 19 now.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. It's pretty crazy. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. But it's pretty clear what's going on, that Samsung is really taking it. In the shorts, good for Apple, bad for Samsung, bad for consumers. Although an argument can be made, you know, it's interesting seeing people who are mostly Android fans saying, oh, bad day for consumers, that the patent system is trying to protect people who take the industry forward and give them a monopoly of sorts. And by doing that, you reward people who take the world forward and not just incrementally copy. So there could be an argument that this also helps innovation and makes it so that people are willing to take the risks to do something new and different.
Right, which was exactly Apple's argument in this case, because what they stated to the jury is, you know, they took 5 years to develop this and come up with this, and Samsung was able to do it in 3 months, essentially, because they copied.
Yeah, copying is always easier than innovating, you know. Yeah. The work, for instance, that Google is doing with the Google Glasses right now is very tough work because you have to find a market. You have to prove that the product works, and you have to develop a new operating system for these things.
Like damages.
Damages, 50.67 million. Wow. I don't know what that means.
I see one already, $1,051,855,000. So just over $1 billion.
Yeah,
so they're doing damages by phone on some of them.
Okay, that's what it was built for, and that's kind of
by device.
What I find.
Emily says this is going to have bad ramifications for the mobile phone market. $1,551 million damages so far.
Right.
Over $1 billion in damages. Joshua Topolsky says $1.05 billion.
Yeah, it looks like just the Galaxy Tab alone was $1.5 billion.
Yeah. I'll be right back. I gotta go chase my kids again. It's funny because they're running around playing in the water, and it's causing me stress. See you.
All right. Yeah, it's a lot of money. And now the real interesting thing will be to see if the judge ends up trebling or not the damages.
Are you saying treble? Is that the proper term, or triple, or what?
No,
yeah, treble means to triple the damages.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
So we will see. I guess I was told 4 more questions. Is that right? Seems to be slowing down for whatever reason.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like they're going through probably question number 25, damages per product, maybe.
Oh, is that why? Okay. So is this $1 billion figure cumulative, or is it?
Here's my website.
The way I'm reading the stream from CNET, that $1 billion is 1.5 is just for the Galaxy Tab, and then there's a bunch of triple-digit $100 million
Not to mention just
fines
Okay,
per
so
device.
going through the damages for each phone, more than $57 million for the Prevail, Infuse 4G, $44 million. $53 million for the Mesmerize. So I'm reading this as the $1 billion is the cumulative total of all these models.
That's not the way CNET reads right now. If you CNET it's a little more up to date. If you, I'll post the link in the chat.
Yeah, what does CNET say?
Well, so they're showing Galaxy Tab 10.1 Wi-Fi and LTE 1.5 billion. They're showing Captivate 80.4, Continuum 16.4.
But what are they showing the 1 billion applying to?
Just the Galaxy Tab 10.1.
Oh, really? Just the Galaxy Tab 1 billion?
That's what they're showing.
That's bad. That's really bad if that's the
because it's a purely open source model. So
yeah, it looks like they might have moved on to another question now.
I'm really surprised.
They're covering whether Samsung proved that Apple infringed its claims, and so far on the iPhone 3G, no is the answer on 2 claims. On the iPhone 3GS, no.
Yeah, and also no 460, no infringement as well.
Yeah.
So it does not. It looks like Samsung is going to be successful in its counterclaims.
By the way, can I share a desktop in Google Hangouts?
You can.
Yes.
You just have to remember the resolution's not very good.
It's not?
Well, it only does, on YouTube, it only do like 480. But I can see your screen, what you're sharing now with the video, so.
Yeah, the resolution isn't all that great. Sort of a fun effect, though. With it sort of going off.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can pull...
So far, all the infringements are no. 516, 460, no across the board. So these are all no's for Samsung.
Let me see if I can arrange this a little bit better. NBC is now saying Apple over 1 billion in damages awarded by jury.
Yeah, we have this figure of over 1 billion. So.
Yeah, it just depends on how that reads. With what CNET posted, if they were accurate with the 1.5 just for the tablet, or if that was the total. That's the key.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll be back. Keep it up.
Okay, so it's definitive. Samsung lost on all of its utility patents for all devices on all claims. Which is interesting. Slightly different verdict than what we saw in South Korea. Did Apple prove they were invalid? No, across the board. Well, that's interesting. Willful infringement on 5 of 6 patents.
Hey, Vincent.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good mate. Welcome to the Apple versus Samsung.
What's going on?
Not much, mate. What are you doing?
Just checking the news, doing some research.
Cool.
Okay, well, this is a really... Well, just let me say one thing real quick. There's a really important decision here on the question of whether Apple has proven that Samsung violated the Section 2 of the Sherman Antitrust Act? And the answer was no. Sorry about that.
No, that's good.
Looks like there's another important question here. My screen just went out on me. Oh well.
Which feed are you watching?
I was watching one of the live stream sites, and my screen just totally went blank, so I can't even. I don't even have the reference to it.
There's two links in the chat. If you just joined,
Yeah,
I'm not sure you can still see those. One on the
No,
Verge.
they're not there anymore.
One on the Verge. I'll paste that again, and one on CNET.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that Robert was reading mostly from The Verge, if it seemed to me, and the CNET also had has a
He's
CNET
got them
seems to
both
have a little
pulled
bit
up.
better summary.
He's got them both pulled up
Yeah.
on the Hangout, so you can watch there too.
Yeah. Oh, this is another big problem for Samsung. On this question, has Apple proven that Samsung is barred by patent exhaustion from enforcing the following Samsung patents against Apple? And the answer was yes. And there was two involved, 560 and 941. The answer was yes, meaning, of course, that Samsung, as far as this decision is upheld, would be barred from presenting any type of claims against Apple with regards to those patents.
So I'm back. So what's happened lately?
Well, the last two main things was that Apple was not successful in proving a violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act, but they were successful in barring Samsung from pursuing patent claims against Apple due to patent exhaustion on two of its claims.
So if you take a look at the CNET feed there, they've got a scorecard at the top. The last item on the scorecard, there's two items of note: 2.3 billion in counting damages, and then jury found Samsung violated the antitrust law for monopolizing markets. So I'm not sure what number that one was.
No, not at all. I mean,
But
a lot
that
of people
reads
do that. I mean, if you had
different than what we were just talking about, I think.
Hold on.
Interesting.
Why do you say it reads differently?
Well, you were saying that. I thought you said that.
Oh, right. You're right. It does read differently about the Sherman Antitrust Act.
Yeah.
Yeah,
CNET says, has Apple proven by a preponderance of the evidence that Samsung has violated Section 2 of the Sherman Antitrust Act by monopolizing one or more technology markets related to the UMTS standard? And the answer was yes and yes.
Yeah, so I think the difference there was we were looking at the question from the Apple perspective where they said no, but for Samsung it was yes.
And The Verge?
No, on The Verge it says no.
Oh, really? It says yes right here on my screen.
No, if you look at at the time 412.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Right there.
It says no. So it says yes to the other question, which is different about the patent exhaustion.
Yeah.
But so I don't. We'll have to see what happened there because obviously the two are in conflict.
The Verge says Samsung's legal team cannot be happy right now. I would say that's pretty accurate.
I think that's an understatement of the year. I think.
Looks like the live feed from both The Verge and CNET has stopped at this point.
Yeah, it looks like the trial is over, and now the stories will start coming in.
But this is huge because basically, according to the CNET count, it's 2.3 billion and counting, and considering Apple was suing for $2.5 billion, it means they pretty much got everything that they were asking for.
Yeah, everybody else is saying $1 billion, so I'm not sure. I'm sure the numbers will change. I'm sure the numbers will change a little bit based when the reporters get their sheets and actually do the math again.
Well, I think the question comes down to because one person in here indicated that because I questioned whether the 1 billion was a cumulative total or not.
Yeah.
Because it appears that way when you read the Verge's site, and somebody had said that they had seen on CNET that the 1 billion was just referring to one product. Oh, right, which is exactly what it says. If you look at the 1:04 a.m. post on CNET, it claims 1.5 billion just for the Galaxy Tab.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Robert, if you scroll down on the CNET side down to 404 p.m., other one.
This is the CNET.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. The Verge is the one that states the...
Yeah.
No, that's
what we have.
Everybody on Twitter is still reporting 1 billion, though. So, well, here CNET is saying... Jay Bodkin's asking the same question that I am. CNET is saying 2.3 billion. Everybody else is saying 1.05 billion.
Yeah, I think CNET's more accurate at this point based on what we saw come across. But until the documents are published, it's all a matter of what was typed in, right?
Yeah, because what happened is if you read the Verge's feed, it implies that the 1 billion is a collective total of all the various damages, and the CNET is very specific that it's replying to one product.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just depends on which one got it right, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that number changes.
I'll tell you, I'd be very surprised that it's 1.5 billion just for the Galaxy Tab, because if you look through the earlier decisions, the Galaxy Tab was largely spared on the infringement as opposed to the other devices. So,
which sort of makes sense because the Galaxy Tab is a newer product, and when you're heading toward a patent battle, you can do things to make your product not infringe on patents, right? I saw that at Microsoft when Microsoft was sued for Flash. They just did a convoluted way for the Flash to start up, and that got rid of the patent infringement. Yeah, Galaxy Tab. CNET has 1.5 billion just for the Galaxy Tab numbers, and then they added on all the other things.
Right.
And so it'll be interesting to see if the math was right or the CNET one was right or not.
Well, another interesting thing is if you look at the CNET is saying 1.5 billion, and the Verge said 1 billion 51 million, which would be 1.05. So, somebody also got that part wrong as well.
Yeah. Anyways, PR victory for Apple, I guess. The $1 billion really doesn't matter to Apple. And I doubt it really matters that much to Samsung. I mean, for becoming the number 1 or number 2 player in the marketplace, to cost, if you said to me, well, you can be number 1, you just have to lose $1 billion patent lawsuit, I would have played the patent lawsuit and copied. Because it's cheaper than buying Instagram, put it that way. Or almost as cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it'll be interesting to see because there's a good chance that this billion that we're talking about can easily turn into 3 billion.
Yeah, but even 3 billion. If you told me you can become the number one or number two player in the cell phone market by investing $3 billion in a patent lawsuit, I would have done that.
Oh, I see what you mean, because you say that even with the loss, that Samsung at least has its position.
Yeah, it's in a lot better position than RIM is right now.
Yeah, that's.
I think more importantly than the damages is what happens going forward to the products.
Not only that, but Samsung doesn't just sell cell phones. They sell big screen TVs. They sell all sorts of stuff that if they own the mobile market or own enough of it, that they can build a brand and an ecosystem that goes across all of their products, their laptops, their tablets, their big screen TVs. You know, this is, if I'm going to look at it objectively, I think this is actually just fine for Samsung. Yeah, it's a bad PR thing for them, but did they really lose?
That's a good question.
Go to RIM and ask them, hey, you can become the number two guy or number one guy by giving us $3 billion. RIM would pay that in a heartbeat. And so would Microsoft, by the way. I mean, how much did they pay? Microsoft paid $8 billion for Skype.
Yeah.
So CNET just updated their damages.
Oh, they just updated 1.5 billion total damages. Yep. So now everybody's
that makes more sense. So so basically, you're talking about potentially worst case scenario, they could lose 1 quarter's worth of profits, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, for the position, giving up 1 quarter worth of profit might not be such a bad deal.
Yeah, and if this is right, 1.05 billion, even if it's tripled, it's $3 billion. $3 billion for becoming the number one or number two player in the cell phone industry? Yeah. I would have paid that in a second if I was an executive. Now, you have to add on the PR damage, but is any Android fan going to switch to Apple because Android copied Apple? No.
Yeah, and Samsung had almost $6 billion in profits in the last quarter. So at $3 billion, it would only be half a quarter's profit.
Yeah. So, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, Apple won the lawsuit, but Samsung, I think, did the right strategy.
So you're encouraging copying.
I think copying is a very legitimate business strategy. I mean, look at the Samwer brothers who copy in Germany and make so much money, and now they're taking San Francisco technology to Brazil and stuff like that.
Yeah, the only place they really get hurt is, and which has happened, like in the South Korea case, is where you actually have the products banned.
Yeah.
For sale in a certain place, and then of course that.
And right, and that we don't know yet that that there's going to be any product banning, but it sounds like some of the newer products didn't infringe anyway. So even there, you know, like in Korea, some of the, so in Korea, some of the old ones got banned, but not the newer ones.
Right. In Korea, there was some bans imposed. So I think, anytime you have a product ban, that obviously relates to certain issues. But
yeah. Don McCaskill says with willful infringement, that number could go up considerably. Yes, not to mention ongoing royalties and device sales bans. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's where the real potential for damage could be.
And most people are they could have saved that billion by innovating. Yeah, but it costs billions to innovate. And you have to be, to innovate, to be ahead of the market, you have to actually have somebody like Steve Jobs who understands how to do that. And how much did Steve Jobs cost?
Exactly.
His wife ended up with $7 billion, I believe, right? Samsung's
I guess we're gonna really end up missing Steve Jobs.
Yeah, this industry does miss him.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was a fun afternoon. I think we can see where we are, and thanks for joining me. That was a lot of fun, and it was a fun way to show people what my Twitter feed looks like.
Yeah, thanks for putting it on.
It's very cool, your Twitter feed, Robert. Love it, man.
Yeah, people give me heck all the time that I can't read 33,000 people's tweets, but that's not true.
No, I can read it. It's very easy to read. It's not even that fun.
Yeah. Only once in a while does it move faster than this. Only during earthquakes. If there's a big earthquake in San Francisco, well, if there's a huge earthquake in San Francisco, this feed will just stop. But if it's like a 5 point something, this feed goes so fast. Saram says, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you, do you watch your Twitter feed much more than your Google Plus feed, I assume?
No, because they're different. I keep this thing off to the side of my screens, and I look at it occasionally. I look at my lists on Twitter a lot more because of Flipboard and stuff like that. But
right.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for joining us, and I'll shut this thing off and go play with my kid.
Okay. Well, thanks for having us, Robert. This was
By the
really
way,
fun.
just to show you, my kid is reading his iPad. Oh, you guys can't see my my camera anymore.
Yeah, you get the screen share.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for doing this, Robert.
All right, see you guys later.
Yeah, bye.
Hey guys, bye.